Welcome to the Win Streaks preview and prediction of all 32 NFL teams for the upcoming 2017 season. Over the next few weeks, I will be covering all 32 teams, so please subscribe on YouTube or the podcast platform you're listening on so you don't miss an episode. My name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Winstreak News, Facebook.com/TheWinstreak, TheWinstreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. We're on TuneIn Radio, iTunes, and Stitcher, as well as some other podcast platforms out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is Soaring Jets Productions. Contact us at soaringjetproductions@gmail.com. Join our fantasy football league. You can find out more information about that on our Facebook page. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see. We do top 10 episodes here on the Win Streak. If you've never listened to a Win Streak podcast or checked us out on YouTube, we do a weekly sports wrap-up show where we talk about all the latest happening and news in the sporting world. We have a lot of fun things lined up for this upcoming 2017 NFL season. Me and my co-host Brandon Myers are extremely excited to start covering this, but for now, we are doing our 2017 preview and predictions of all 32 teams. Today, we are doing the Buffalo Bills. This will be the Buffalo Bills' 58th season as a football team. This will be the third full year under the ownership of Terry and Kim Pegula. The Bills have a brand new GM, Brandon Beane, who replaces Doug Whaley, who was fired along with the entire scouting staff on April 30th, just mere hours after the 2017 NFL draft. Personally, to me, I don't like the move. I think if you are going to fire your GM, you should fire him in January. It seems a little bit dysfunctional firing your general manager in the midst of, a major draft that is going to have major implications for years to come on your franchise. This is the first year for head coach Sean McDermott, who spent the last 6 seasons as defensive coordinator with the Carolina Panthers. I like the hire. I wish Sean the best up there in Buffalo, even though I am a New York Jets fan. The Buffalo Bills posted a record of 7-9 in 2016. The Buffalo Bills have a 17 consecutive season playoff drought. That is the longest active drought among all 4 North American major professional sports leagues. Second longest in NFL history. Only the New Orleans Saints have a longer drought, which lasted from 1967 to 1986. The Buffalo Bills have never won a Super Bowl, but have won 2 AFL championships in 1964 and 1965. The Buffalo Bills have won 4 conference championships, 1990, 1991, 1992, and 1993. 10 division championships, 7 in the AFC East. Last won AFC East in 1995. 17 playoff appearances overall. Was a strong team in the 1990s, only missing the playoffs in 94 and 97. Only NFL team to lose 4 consecutive Super Bowl games. Sadly, the Buffalo Bills are known for losing 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Sadly, the Bills franchise has been extremely good, winning 4 AFC championships, but sadly that is what most casual fans recognize when they hear the word Buffalo Bills. Only team in North America not to have appeared in the playoffs so far in the 21st century. The Bills had 6 Pro Bowlers in 2016. Bills was one of only two teams to beat the Patriots last season. The other team was the Seattle Seahawks. Granted, it was against a third string quarterback playing for the Patriots because Tom Brady was still suspended. And their second stringer, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, he was hurt. So you had a third stringer, but still, Buffalo Bills was able to beat the New England Patriots. Biggest Bills franchise what if? I know this is going to sting if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, but once again, what would have happened if the Bills won one of those four Super Bowls? The obvious choice is the Bills' first Super Bowl. The Bills should have beat the New York Giants, but kicker Scott Norwood's kick went wide right. Redskins matchup wasn't very close, and those Cowboy matchups were complete blowouts. The NFC East really killed the franchise up there in Buffalo. I highly doubt they would be on a 14-year drought had they won one of those multiple or one or multiple Super Bowls up there in Buffalo in the early 1990s. It would have completely changed, in my opinion, the whole outlook of this franchise up there in Buffalo, and there wouldn't be these rumors that will the Buffalo Bills eventually move to Toronto. They would stay because it's not, small markets have nothing to do with it. Because look at Green Bay, they strive out there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and probably nobody could really, only probably about 25% of football fans could probably point to Green Bay on a map. So Buffalo has nothing to do with it. It's just the Packers win. They won Super Bowl. Sadly, the Bills haven't. And now that's what put the Bills franchise in danger of potentially moving in the near future. Moving on to the 2017 season outlook, head coach Sean McDermott, job is safe as a rookie head coach. Quarterbacks include Cardale Jones, Nathan Peterman, Tyrod Taylor, and TJ Yates. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter, in my opinion. I don't see how any of these other guys beat out Tyrod for the starting job. Rex Ryan and Doug Whaley uh, out marks the transitional season for Buffalo, one that was greatly needed. Sammy Watkins and Tyrod Taylor could both be out if if this thing does not go good for them this season. Biggest positive change, in my opinion, firing loudmouth moron Rex Ryan and his talentless brother, Rob. Rob Ryan, I don't even know how he had a job besides, let's be honest, Rex just gave it to his brother because Rob Ryan hasn't been a good defensive coordinator since, wow, probably when he was with the Cleveland Browns, and even then, he wasn't good as Rex. McDermott will move Bills from 3-4 base defense to 4-3 scheme that worked well before Rex Ryan got there and destroyed the Buffalo Bills defense. Let's be honest, they had a good defense until Rex Ryan was hired, went up there and dismantled it because the Buffalo Bills players will admit they did not like that 3-4 base defense. They were doing good under the 4-3 scheme, and hopefully they can transition back and good things will happen, hopefully pretty quick if you are a Buffalo Bills fan. Rex Ryan completely embarrassed himself. I don't know why this Buffalo front office and ownership got into the New York Jets trash and picked up Rex Ryan and thought they were going to go to the promised land with Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan is washed up. I mean, let's be honest. Rex Ryan is all about, he used to be a good head coach, but then he became all about, I want attention, I want to make headlines, and now he's going to get that because now he's out of the NFL, hopefully for good, and he's going to go on ESPN and make jokes and say, oh, let's get a goddamn snack and stuff like that on ESPN, and everybody's going to laugh. But, Rex Ryan made a complete ass out of himself and made an ass out of the Jets, and the Bills also really hurt the Bills. The Jets are still in a mess. And now the Bills are just starting to clean up their mess, and it's going to be a while for the Bills and the Jets to both become good again because of the mess that Rex Ryan left both of these franchises in. The Bills also have a favorable contract on Tyrod Taylor. If he sucks, the Bills can cut him after the season. Same with Sammy Watkins. So you have to be happy that the franchise has some flexibility when it comes to two of their potentially star players. But if they don't pan out, they can get rid of both of them. Biggest negative change. This one hurts. Bills losing cornerback Stepan Gilmore and running back Mike Gilsey, both going to the New England Patriots. That hurt a lot. The AFC East is on lockdown. Patriots probably the best team in the NFL. Dolphins can potentially be a wild card team yet again. I think if you talk about lucky teams, the Dolphins and the Texans were extremely lucky last year, and I could see the Dolphins and the Texans both missing out on the playoffs this year just because, well, can you get lucky twice in a row? Usually you can't. The Jets are tanking, and the Bills are kind of in a weird place because you have the Patriots that can go and repeat as Super Bowl champion. You got the Dolphins that could potentially win a wild card game in the playoff. You got the Jets that could possibly go 0-16. And you got the Bills that are just, you're not good enough to win the AFC East and probably not good enough to win a wild card, but you're not bad enough like the Jets to really go anywhere and get a high draft pick. The Bills are in a weird place in the AFC East, maybe in a worse place than the Jets, because at least the Jets at the very end of this tank job, they are going to have at worst a top 3 draft pick in the 2018 draft, and you have some promising young quarterbacks potentially coming out of this draft in 2018. Bill's season depends on Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, and Sammy Watkins all having career seasons. Even then, it probably won't be enough to get the Bills to the playoffs or even with a winning season. Now, going to the schedule, preseason, home for the Vikings, at Eagles, at Ravens, and then home for the Lions. I like this preseason schedule, as I do if you've been listening to any of these 32 NFL team previews. I like a preseason schedule where you don't have to travel too much. Traveling to Philly from Buffalo, traveling to Baltimore from Buffalo, that's a doable schedule. I was doing one, I believe it was the Redskins. They have to travel all the way out to LA. That is a nightmare. So I want a schedule where my two traveling teams are pretty close to me, and the Bills, they got that. So that's good if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm not a big fan of preseason games, so that's the only thing I look for. I don't care about win-losses. It's just I want to travel the least amount I possibly can so my team isn't wore out. The regular season game-by-game prediction, Buffalo Bills have one primetime game that is at New York Jets on Thursday Night Football. Looking at it through worst and best scenario in September, you open up against the New York Jets, and I say worst case, best case, you win that game against the New York Jets, because the New York Jets, I don't know which quarterback they're going to come out with. Are they going to come out with McCown? If so, that gives them the best chance to win. Bryce Petty, or are they going to go with Christian Hackenberg, who's never thrown a football in his NFL career? Is he going to get the start? And they're saying that he could potentially be the worst quarterback in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Jets do have a knack of being able to win their first game of the season. So if you're a Bills fan, you have to watch out, because granted, the Jets are traveling up to Buffalo, but they somehow manage to always pull out a victory and start the season 1-0 before collapsing. But I think you can beat the Jets just because the Jets are in such a awful position, losing all of their veterans by choice to hopefully get, I suppose, Sam Darnold in the 2018 NFL draft. September 17th at Carolina Panthers. Worst, I say you lose to the Carolina Panthers, but best case scenario, I say you beat the Carolina Panthers. I don't like where the Carolina Panthers are going. They are another team that fired their GM way too late, even later than the Buffalo Bills. They fired their GM just a few weeks ago. September 24th, Broncos. I say best case, worst case scenario, even though this is in Buffalo, you will not be able to win this game. So you go into October, worst case scenario, you are 1-2. Best case scenario, you are 2-1. October 1st, at Atlanta, best case, worst case, you are losing against the Atlanta Falcons at home. October 8th at Cincinnati. Best case, worst case, you're losing to the Cincinnati Bengals. October is going to be a rough month for the Buffalo Bills. You have a bye. Hopefully, you can win during the bye week. Now, at Bengals, you could potentially win that because the Bengals have a knack for losing games they should win. And they should win against the Buffalo Bills in Cincinnati. But it is the Bengals after all. October 22nd, home against the Buccaneers. I like the Buccaneers this year. I think the Buccaneers are going to be a playoff team, so I don't see you beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. October 29th against the Raiders at home. Once again, you got a tough team, but they're at home. I still don't see how you win. So going into November, at best you'll be 1-6. At worst, you'll be 1-6. At best, you'll be 2-5. Like I said, October at Atlanta, at Cincinnati, bye. Home for the Buccaneers and the Raiders. October is a brutal month for the Buffalo Bills. Only the Chicago Bears uh, September schedule is worse. I mean, the Bills might have one of the toughest months ever. The Bears open up, they have to go at Packers, Atlanta, they have to play the Steelers, and they have to play the Falcons, the Packers, the Steelers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is just a brutal month for the Bears. But October for the Bills might possibly be worse, especially if the Bengals and the Bucks are supposed to take a leap up this year and be two solid teams. We know the Falcons and the Raiders are going to be solid teams. Going on to November at New York, a primetime game. The Jets find just every possible way to not only lose primetime games, but make asses out of themselves doing so. So I say best worst case scenario, you beat the Jets. I mean, let's all stop and think here for a minute. The butt fumble was a primetime game. The Jets just have awful, embarrassing primetime games. The Jets are going to be hot garbage this year, so I'm giving that game to the Buffalo Bills. November 12th, you got the Saints at home. The Saints are not the same when they're out of that dome. They have one of the, let's be honest, a awful defense. I say best case, worst case, you beat the New Orleans Saints. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to have a better defense than the New Orleans Saints. At LA Chargers, worst case, I say you lose this game, but best case scenario, I say you win that game. I say traveling all the way out to LA, it's going to be tough. You got Phillip Rivers. The Chargers are a pretty okay team, and the Chargers are going to want to put wins up on the board because they got the Chiefs, they got the Raiders, they got the Broncos in that division, so they're going to have to be trying to get these more weaker teams like the Bills are. They got to get some wins, so they're really going to be playing. You finish November 26 at Kansas City. Best case, worst case, I don't see how you're beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So you go into December. At best, you have a record of 5-6. At worst, you have a record of 3-8. December 3rd, Patriots. I don't think I have to say anything about that game. December 10th, Colts. Best case scenario, you win that game. Worst case scenario, you lose that game. It just depends on how Andrew Luck is playing, if he's hurt. and what's the supporting cast around him? What are they doing? Are they hurt? Are they any better than what they've been the last couple of years? December 17th, Dolphins. I say worst you lose, best case scenario, you win that game. Dolphins are having to travel all the way up to Buffalo. You know, that cold air, it could possibly be snowing. That always messes with Miami, so that benefits the Bills. But the Dolphins are a better team, so if it's a balmy 55-degree day, the Dolphins are going to take that game. At Patriots, once again, especially at Foxborough, I don't think I have to say anything about that game. At Miami, best case, worst case, I say you lose that game because I say the Dolphins are probably going to be trying to get a wild card spot in the AFC. So you finish the season, best case scenario, I'll give you 7-9. Worst case scenario, 3-13. My final prediction, 5-11. The Buffalo Bills go 5-11 for this upcoming 2017 season. The Buffalo Bills got a solid chance to sweep the New York Jets, beat the New Orleans Saints, the Colts, the Broncos at Buffalo. Could be upset games. A good road team could win at Carolina or LA. And you could possibly upset the Dolphins when they come to Buffalo December 17th. But I just don't see how you beat the Falcons, the Bengals, the Bucks, the Raiders. That October schedule just is going to come and hurt you. And like I said, at Kansas City, those two games against the Patriots, and the Miami Dolphins, at best, you're going to split, but you're probably going to get swept by the Dolphins. So a tough schedule, but there hopefully some promise for the Buffalo Bills that are in this, like I said, a weird position where they're not rebuilding like the New York Jets, but at the same time, they're not contending like the Dolphins, and especially not like the New England Patriots. But once again, this was my 2017 preview of the Buffalo Bills. You can follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Win Streak News, Facebook.com/The Win Streak, TheWinStreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. We're on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, so please check them out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Productions. Contact us at soaringjetproductions@gmail.com. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave a comment and let me know what you think the Buffalo Bills 2017 season record is going to be. Am I too generous? Am I too hard on the Buffalo Bills? Join our fantasy football league. You can find information about that on our Facebook page and on thewinstreak.com. Top 10 Super Bowl matchup we want to see is now live on our podcast feed. We do top 10 episodes throughout the year. We do a weekly wrap-up show where we talk about all the latest happenings in the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, and basketball. So please check that out. We have a great time, me and my co-host Brandon Myers. We also have special guests on there, so please check that out. But my name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. This was once again the Buffalo Bills 2017 preview. Until next time, keep winning, everybody.